On an overcast afternoon in the heart of West London, a young woman named Ela slipped into a modest charity shop, looking for shelter from the drizzle. As she stepped inside, the bell above the door let out a tired chime. The air was filled with the scent of old pages, settled dust, and just a hint of lavender. At first, Ela only planned to stay until the rain stopped, but fate had other ideas. She was about to uncover a secret that had been hidden for nearly 30 years. In a dim corner, tucked between stacks of worn vinyl albums and a collection of chipped porcelain, she spotted a cardboard box. The label, written in faded ink, read, "Old Tapes, 1990s, do not price." Ela, who often spent her nights giving new life to forgotten audio for podcasts, felt an irresistible curiosity. She crouched down, opened the box, and found a chaotic jumble of cassettes. Some were carefully labeled, others had no markings, and a few had stickers peeling off. But one tape caught her attention, a plain black cassette, unmarked except for a small blue crown drawn by hand. Clearing her throat, Ela called out to the old man at the register. "Excuse me," she asked quietly, "what would you charge for these?" The shopkeeper adjusted his spectacles, peered at the dusty box, and gave a resigned shrug. "Those," he said, sounding a bit weary. "Somebody left them during a house clearance, just lumped in with the rest of the forgotten odds and ends. We can't really say if they're still any good. If you want the whole box, it's yours for £5. Ela paused, just long enough to be polite, then nodded in agreement. That night, in her cramped apartment above a bakery, she carefully slid the mysterious, label-free tape into her old Sony cassette player. She expected nothing more than static, maybe the faint strains of someone's favorite music in the distance, but instead she heard the mechanical click of a tape machine coming to life. There was a pause, a brief silence then. Suddenly, a voice. It was gentle, poised, but held a note of uncertainty. "I suppose this is where we begin," the speaker said. "You have asked for the truth. I'm not sure anyone has truly wanted that from me." Ela sat perfectly still. She had never met Princess Diana, never seen the woman behind the legend. To her, Diana was just a face on teacups, on magazine covers, and in old TV specials. But that voice there was no doubt. It could only be her. Just to be sure, she hit rewind and let it play again. The voice explained, "I'm doing this in case anything ever happens to me. Someone deserves to know my story, the version that isn't filtered, not staged, and certainly not watered down by others." Ela felt a shiver crawl down her skin. Then another voice entered, steady and mature, with the calm of someone used to listening. "For the record, let's call these private sessions," the man suggested. "You're free to leave at any moment. No one else ever has to hear what's said here." Diana answered with a brief, rueful laugh. "That might be the most naive thing I've heard all year," she replied. "But all right, ask whatever you like, listener." Ela's heart pounded as she leaned closer to the speakers, almost as if sitting nearer might bring her answers from decades past. Who was this mysterious listener? What path had these revealing tapes taken to end up in a second-hand store? And what secrets still waited inside that battered box? As she kept listening, one thing became clear and deeply unsettling. These weren't interviews meant for the public, or conversations written by ghostwriters. What poured out from the tape was raw and unfiltered, a private outpouring, true confessions. For the next several days, Ela kept coming back to the tape, listening again and again, absorbing every syllable. Carefully, she transferred it to digital form. She worked patiently, scrubbing out the static and background hiss, but she always left Diana's voice untouched, preserving its raw presence. Diana's words came slowly, each one pushing through invisible barriers built over years. "They like to call me paranoid," Diana confided, "but paranoia is just fear, confirmed by experience. And I've had no shortage of that." The man on the recordings rarely interrupted. When he did, his questions were gentle, more like soft prods than commands. "You spoke about being shadowed," he inquired, "not by the paparazzi, but by someone else." Diana paused. "Yes, by them, the gray ones." "Civil servants?" he asked, almost in a whisper. "No," she replied. "These are shadows in tailored jackets, the kind who are never photographed. They move through rooms unnoticed, as if they belong only to the silence. Whenever my voice gets too bold, they appear at the edge of my vision. If I travel somewhere off limits, somehow, they're always one step ahead." Her laughter was soft, tinged with weariness. "Sometimes," she mused, "I think the glare of cameras is a relief. When the cameras are rolling, the shadows retreat. Their presence draws near only after the flashes disappear, and it's in that quiet moment that I feel them most intensely." Ela paused the playback, needing a moment to steady her breath. It was as if she were eavesdropping on the secret heartbeat of history, filled with dread, yet colored by stories so unbelievable they felt more like rumors. On the second recording, Diana described an unusual dinner. It was off the record, no cameras, no official duties, just a small group of guests, and a man from a nation no one would ever expect to see on a royal guest list. When Diana spoke the country's name, Isla's eyes widened in shock. The man spoke frankly. If disappearing ever became necessary, there were islands, places that both existed and didn't, where identities could simply dissolve. He warned her, half joking, that such an escape wasn't a good idea. But his gaze was serious. You might need this knowledge someday. Did you ever use it? The listener asked. Diana paused. The recorder captured the soft clink of her rings as she shifted in her seat. I wrote the name down, she answered at last. On a scrap of paper, one I later burned, but the name stayed with me. I never let go of escape plans. Maybe that's the secret I hide best. While I'm out there smiling for children and slicing through ribbons at ceremonies, some part of me is always searching for exits. Isla felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't a polished TV biography. This was a woman who knew every way out. Later in the recording, the interviewer asked, "Do you think there's a coordinated attempt to control you that goes beyond the headlines and cameras?" Diana answered with careful deliberation, "I believe institutions act to preserve themselves. If someone begins to wield more influence than the official story allows, they're no longer an asset, they become a liability. I've been quietly slipping from one box to another for some time now." Her voice dropped to a near whisper. "That's the real reason I'm speaking with you, not to point fingers, but to scatter a trail of clues, just in case somebody kind someday comes looking." Isla paused the audio, her eyes fixed on the pale glow of her laptop. Someone kind, somewhere in the future. That thought lingered, feeling unexpectedly personal to Isla. She reached into the box once more, her fingers brushing against stacks of unlabeled tapes. 9 tapes remained. If that first cassette was only the beginning, what might she find further along this trail? As the days passed, Isla felt as if she was living in 2 separate worlds. By day, she polished audio for clients she could barely remember. But at night, she entered Diana's world, a place filled with locked doors and lingering fears from long ago. When she reached the 4th tape, everything changed. Diana's voice became sharper, her sense of urgency growing stronger, like a storm on the horizon. "The rumors about me almost serve a purpose," Diana confessed. "They make me seem unstable, too fragile, too emotional. So when I talk about being watched, or mention the secret decisions shaping my future, people dismiss what I say." She let out a brittle laugh. The hysterical woman, the drama queen, it's an old and reliable tactic. The listener gently interrupted, lowering their voice. "Has anything concrete reached your ears?" Diana answered slowly. "No, nothing that would ever be written down or sent in a memo. Only fragments, flashes of color, odd remarks, or poorly disguised jokes. And that unmistakable tension whenever a conversation stops the moment I walk into a room." In one of the later recordings, Diana described a strange series of anonymous notes. Each note was written in the same neat, tidy script and showed up in the most unexpected places, tucked inside a book at the palace library, slipped between the drafts of a charity speech, or even hidden in her son's school books. The messages themselves were short, just a date, a cryptic warning, or a hint. "The route can be changed. Trust the driver, not the car. Some tunnels have 2 exits. Naturally, I never told a soul," Diana confessed. "They would say I was imagining things, or worse, they'd take every letter and leave me completely in the dark." "Do you still have them?" the interviewer asked. The gentle sound of paper rustling filled the quiet room. "I keep these pages tucked away in a dusty old cookbook one even Mary Berry would never guess hides royal secrets." That made the listener laugh out loud. For a moment, Diana's voice seemed lighter, her worries briefly lifting. I noticed the warmth and smiled too. But that brightness didn't last. It faded almost as quickly as it came. "Then there's the island," Diana continued, "the one nobody will ever find on a map." I leaned in, captivated. "It started as nothing more than hushed whispers, fragments of gossip passed quietly in shadowed hallways, stories about politicians who vanish after angering the wrong people. Rumor has it there's a secluded island where they're taken. No nosy journalists, no relentless cameras, and none of the usual duties. Some call it a velvet cell, others an oasis. But the real twist," Diana explained, "is that you can never truly know what you're stepping into until you're already there." "Did someone offer you this option directly?" the listener asked. "Not exactly," Diana admitted. "I haven't yet reached the point where they'd lock me away for my own protection." Still, there have been hints, veiled invitations, subtle remarks suggesting it may be best for everyone if you simply vanished for a while, found a quiet corner far from view, something permanent. For the first time after all those tapes, Diana's voice trembled. I do not want to vanish to some fake island hidden away. I want to live here, out in the open with my sons, my commitments, and every bit of the chaotic, unpolished life that comes with being human. But at times, I do wonder if they'll ever truly let me have that freedom. Isla hit pause and noticed the tension in her own hands, her fingers curled into tight fists. She tried to calm herself, reminding her mind, these are just recordings, nothing more than old rumors and private fears. Still, the fifth tape was different. There was a change in tone. In the background, you could hear a faint buzz, the distant hum of city traffic. The world outside was present, just out of reach. Diana's voice felt closer, more direct this time. I have something to admit, she began. You tested them, the interviewer asked. The people following me, Diana confirmed. One day I changed my schedule, no notice on the official calendar. Only a trusted friend and my driver knew. We went to a small hospice on the edge of town. No one else was supposed to know. Just 20 minutes after we left, a gray car started tailing us. Its plates were unreadable, the vehicle completely unmarked. Whenever we took an unexpected turn, the car followed, but when we doubled back, it disappeared. Maybe it was just a coincidence, the listener suggested. Maybe, Diana agreed, but I've stopped believing in accidents that always seem to follow me. A stretched silence filled the recording, heavy with things unsaid. Then in a quieter voice, she admitted, I feel they're weighing their options. Silencing me would be too obvious, too messy. It's safer to go after my credibility. She paused, and yet there is always the island, the one that's supposed to be imaginary, the listener murmured. It is imaginary right up until you set foot on it. Diana finished. The ninth recording broke the pattern. The atmosphere changed, charged, unsettled. Somewhere nearby, rain scratched against a window pane. The steady ticking of a clock marked each second. This could be our last meeting, Diana announced. At least for the foreseeable future. I leave on a trip tomorrow. You do not sound like yourself, the listener pointed out. No, I'm not, Diana agreed. Lately, rumors have begun to overlap, whispers suggesting that certain powerful people disapprove of my new associations. There are hints that my growing influence no longer fits their plans. And then, of course, there was her. Isla shivered as goosebumps rippled along her arms. Earlier tapes had alluded to this shadowy figure, but never with real clarity. The woman, the interviewer pressed, the one in gray, Diana answered quietly. I used to think her presence meant she worked for them. Recently, I'm not so sure. Diana remembered seeing this woman at various events, always lingering on the edges. Her outfit was classic but unremarkable, designed not to draw attention. She wore soft gloves and a hat that kept most of her face hidden in shadow. She was never seen with a camera in hand. Then one evening I decided to approach her. Diana recalled, my thought was, if she runs away, she must be watching me. If she stays, perhaps she's unstable. But she did neither. Instead, she calmly intercepted me. She spoke just one sentence. They are rewriting the ending. And with that, she disappeared back into the crowd. Rewriting the ending of what, exactly? The listener pressed. Diana answered, my narrative, the part I am meant to play in their world. I had an assigned purpose, the sorrowful princess, the grieving spouse, the charming diversion. All was well until I decided to be something more. Diana's voice caught. It was fragile for just a heartbeat. Improvisation, you see, isn't welcome in established institutions. In that very recording, Diana mentioned a curious phrase that had started appearing in those secret notes. The root is the weapon. There was a sharpness in her tone as she almost laughed, worn down by irony. I do not lose sleep over rivals, she said, but over itineraries, over who quietly determines my route from one place to another. The interviewer shifted, clearly uncomfortable. Tunnels, he mentioned softly. Bridges, underpasses. Yes, Diana breathed, her agreement barely audible. These are places where reality can change in a blink, he continued, and the world just accepts whatever is announced as truth. A quiet moment followed, only her faint exhale breaking the silence. Which is why I've set up my own backup plan, she shared. There's one person I trust, we'll call him Harbor. If I ever feel something is wrong, there's a signal, nothing dramatic. Just a hand pressed to the window. It's simple, won't raise any alarms. But if he sees it, he changes the route. No tunnels, no narrow lanes. We keep driving, making sure every camera loses sight of us. If he misses the sign, the listener asked quietly, then this may truly be my last recording. Diana replied, her voice barely more than a whisper. Isla stopped the tape, overwhelmed, her breath caught in her chest. It took her some time to gather the courage to press play again. The atmosphere had changed. The next part felt calmer and more deliberate, as if Diana had walked the room and returned with her thoughts in order. "You know what I find strangest of all," she mused. "I don't fear the end itself. What unsettles me is not knowing how my story will be told when I'm gone. Will they turn me into a parable, a mad woman, or even a saint? None of those really describe me. What I am is imperfect, often afraid, stubborn to my core, and above all, someone who would always put her children first, even before herself. Deep down, I'm simply human. What if someday someone finds these recordings?" The listener wondered. Diana gave a soft, wistful chuckle. "Well, at least then there will be proof that I tried. Tried to warn, tried to escape, tried to forgive, and tried to live on my own terms, not as someone else's possession." The very last tape didn't end with a grand revelation. Instead, it closed with a note so achingly ordinary, it lingered in the air. Diana's final question hung in the static. Could people ever truly be free? The listener never replied, or if he did, the tape didn't catch it. Then, just a gentle click, the sudden end of their conversation. After all those revelations, there was no bombshell, no accusations, just a woman stepping into the unknown, quietly leaving behind clues, hoping that maybe they would matter. Isla sat alone in the darkness of her apartment, even after the last audio file had finished saving. Downstairs, the bakery was closed for the night. The distant pulse of the city slipped in through foggy windows. On her computer, hours of painstakingly restored recordings lay in wait, a chorus of ghosts with the power to reignite old passions or even change the world. Isla held the decision: leak them to the press, turn them into a viral sensation, make Diana's voice impossible to ignore, or hide them again, letting that delicate truth disappear into the digital void. In the stillness, Diana's words echoed in her mind. "If someone ever hears this, let it be someone gentle." "Am I gentle?" Isla whispered softly into the shadows. Then, with trembling resolve, she opened a blank page and began to write. Isla didn't craft a headline or try to make it dramatic. Instead, she created a transcript, capturing every word, each hesitant pause, and every unspoken breath. She included the background, added dates, and carefully cross-referenced the details, sorting out rumor from anything that might have a thread of truth. When she finished, she saved the document under a quiet, thoughtful name, The Second Sunrise, unofficial. Then, surpassing even her own expectations, Isla encrypted the audio files, broke them into several segments, and sent them not to reporters or gossip columns, but to a select group of archivists and historians scattered across the globe. These were people she trusted to value truth above spectacle. With each delivery, she added a simple note: "These recordings may or may not be authentic, but the woman whose voice you hear hoped that someone someday would treat them with care. Please decide together, are these meant for the world or not?" As she pressed send on the final email, a rare sense of peace washed over her. Many years ago, a princess had quietly hidden away cassettes and diaries. She tucked them into corners beneath loose stones and behind recipe books on dusty shelves. Maybe she wondered if anyone would ever find them. Now, in a modest London apartment, a stranger had picked up the trail. Isla found herself drawn to the window. The rain had stopped, and the pavement glowed beneath gentle street lamps. Somewhere far beyond the city's pulse and its watchful eyes, past palaces and headlines, the ocean murmured along a distant, unseen shore. Maybe somewhere there was a hidden island, a place where it was safe to speak the truth. Or maybe that place only existed in dreams. But Isla knew one thing for sure. Deep inside, she felt it. Diana's voice, gentle yet unbreakable, had finally crossed the lines others had set for her. No matter if these tapes came to light tomorrow, years from now, or stayed locked away forever, their secret had already done its job. A living heart had heard it,